so much for coming out to the Teaching Awards for the Faculty of Arts. I told Tanya that I'm going to keep things as short as possible because there are a lot of recipients and we're already like 10 minutes late. I just wanted to say that it's fantastic to see so many people in this venue, in a place that I think really celebrates teaching. And being a part of the panel this year and also being heavily involved in teaching and learning over the last 4 to 5 months, I can say that teaching has sort of been the glue that has kept my academic career together. And it's lovely to see this really across the board, from early career academics who are tutoring, early career who are doing teaching, design and practice, and all the way to professors. So when we saw the applications, we got people from across all of the schools in the faculty and from the very early career all the way to the most senior academics, and that's really wonderful to see. I suppose I want to just say that this is an acknowledgement of teaching and learning, and as such, I'm really proud to say that it's a celebration of something that is fundamental to our faculty. I want to thank the evaluation panel as well for the roughly half day we spent going through the applications, which, believe it or not, was actually a lot of fun and really interesting and kind of revealing as well. Before we move to the presentations, I want to invite the Dean to speak and to offer the acknowledgement of country. Thank you.
Thanks, Bruce. It's very nice to come together in Maclaurin Hall to celebrate teaching excellence in the faculty. Really important that we acknowledge that, and as Bruce has indicated, also very important that we acknowledge country, as we're accustomed to do. So on your behalf then, I would like to acknowledge and pay my respects to the traditional owners of the land on which we stand, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. As we all know, their land was never sold and never ceded, yet it's our everyday workplace, and what we make of that conundrum, I think, is part of what it means to acknowledge, in a genuine and authentic sense, the country that we live and work on. I'm not going to make a lot of lengthy comments now. It's very fun to find ourselves on a Monday afternoon, some of us wrapped around beer bottles and champagne glasses, I see, as is a suitable congratulatory and celebratory air. Teaching at a university can sometimes seem a very private and privatised activity, often something that takes place without a collective sort of purview. Some of you will definitely have heard me emphasising what I think is the very important value of collectively held and owned curriculum. That is, curricula held by disciplinary groups in collectivity, not privatised, not held as your own little section of disciplinary expertise, but actually something held collectively and hopefully for the benefit of students who negotiate their way through our programs. So it's incredibly important that we celebrate teaching excellence. Teaching excellence is an enormous part of the success of our faculty. Sometimes teaching has been historically thought of as the second or poor cousin to research, and I think events like this help us emphasise and ensure the value that teaching must hold for all of us. Tanya goes to enormous efforts each year to ensure that the lustre of an event like this is unsurpassed. Musicians, pot plants, drinks, and all this, as I say, on a Monday afternoon. So it's really great to come together and celebrate with the more than 50 colleagues who are being recognised this afternoon. So big congratulations to you all, and a warm welcome to your friends and family who've come along to support.
Okay, before we get started, it just occurred to me I forgot to say who I was. My name's Bruce Isaacs. I'm Acting Associate Dean Education, so in case you're wondering, that's why I'm standing here. Okay, we've got a number of categories. We're going to start with the Dean's Citation for Excellence in Tutorials. These are for early career people who are starting out in the tutorial space. The panel was really astonished at the kind of work that's been done in tutorials across the faculty. Yep, let's start. Okay, so for the first award, Eleanor Carletti. Catherine Cartwright. Daniel Dixon. Kirk Dodd. Ben Egliston. Unfortunately, Ben's not here with us, but we will hold the award for him. And next up is Oliver Gordon. Gil Heasey. Amelia Kelly. Nada Labib. Marlena Lutz Hughes. Georgia Monahan. Carol Quadrio. Rose Mawati. Tara Smith. Jiting Wang. Jiting is currently overseas and her husband is accepting this award. His name is Tianchu Zhao. Laura Welty. Samantha Janju. The panel found 5 especially impressive applications. Each of these tutors demonstrated a deep commitment to teaching and supporting students. For the award of Dean's Citation for Excellence in Tutorials with Distinction, Tristan Bradshaw. Patrick Locke. Pamela Maddock. Dashiell Moore. Leanne Stevenson. Okay, that concludes our Dean Citation. Can we give all of them a huge hand? Thank you. We're on to our next category. This is Excellence in Teaching. And this category is generally for people who've been around a little bit longer, who do some work on unit of study design, coordination, various modes of implementation. And as a panel, we really looked also toward aspects of innovation that sort of points the way to what we can do as a faculty. Some of the artifacts that we saw in these applications and proposals will find their way into teaching tips on the faculty website, and then will become kind of large-based exemplars. Okay, so for the Teaching Awards, Dr. John Kello. Dr. Eleanor Cowan. Dr. Marco Duranti. Dr. Yoonjong Eo. Associate Professor Charlotte Epstein. Dr. Susan Hewitt-Bell. Dr. Mitchell Hobbs. Dr. Qing Zhu. Associate Professor David MacArthur. Dr. Ayol Meroz. Associate Professor Ike Fakiti. Miss Maria Quigley. Mrs. Crystal Rome. Dr. Matthew Thomas. Dr. Marian Vidal Fernandez. So Marian's currently overseas and she sends her apologies and we'll hold the award for her. Dr. Taya Verkhoven. The panel had one award for excellence in teaching with distinction, which is no small achievement. That goes to Dr. Alex Toming. I should also say Alex is also early career, so that makes it particularly noteworthy. We had a separate category this year for excellence in teaching early career, of which Alex was a part. Dr. Michael Abrams Sprod. Dr. Ben Banasic. Dr. Anastasia Berkovskaya. Dr. Joe Collins. Dr. Alexander Howard. Dr. Janica Nordstrom. Dr. Hui Fu. That concludes our awarding. of these certificates. We have one more section. Before we go to that, can we please congratulate everyone who received an award today? Okay, so the final part, which is also the most fun, we want to hear from some of these people, and we invited some of these people to speak about what they've done, why they've been awarded, the kinds of things they do in the teaching space. I think Tanya does this to embarrass people as well. Can we start with Alex Toming, please?
A few people here. Hi, I'm Alex. I am a sessional academic in archaeology. Before I start, there are a few people I'd really like to thank. Professor Meg Miller, for one, my teacher and my nominator for this award. I'm very happy to have you here and thankful for the opportunity. Bruce, as well, of course, a big mentor of mine, and Tanya, wherever she's run off to. Tanya is the reason I am here more than anything, so thank you, Tanya. Teaching archaeology should be pretty easy, right? Everyone wants to be an archaeologist when they're a kid. People tell me that all the time. I wanted to be a lawyer when I was a kid, and no offense to the lawyers in the room, but not for me. I figured that out in good timing. The implication, though, is that you grow up and you realize that archaeology isn't a career. You become realistic, right? Being Indiana Jones is not something you can do with your life, except it is. I know a lot of archaeologists. They don't punch Nazis, as far as I'm aware, but it's a job, and it's in fact a really, really important job. I once watched a video of a speech given by John Cleese on creativity, and he talks about how people come up to him all the time and say that they wish they were creative like him. The conditions necessary for creativity, John Cleese states, are eminently achievable, but they require one really important thing. They require the ability to be uncomfortable. They require the ability to sit with difficult problems and not jump to a solution, to tease things out and to test things out and to spend time being uncomfortable. And archaeology is really one of the most perfect environments for that to happen. The best explanation I ever heard of archaeology was that it's like a puzzle, but you've only got half the pieces, and half the pieces you do have are from a different puzzle, and half of them have been chewed by a dog, and you have to put the puzzle together upside down, and you don't have a reference picture. So, pretty good for being uncomfortable, old archaeology is. So archaeology is quite an important thing to study, and regardless of whether you're going to go on to work as a consultant archaeologist, as a research archaeologist, or even as a merchant banker, I believe very strongly that archaeology can help everyone. But our students, the students that come to us every year, are faced with an uncertain and sometimes quite terrifying future. I think things have changed even in the 11 years since I started university here. So one of my most important jobs as the person who's being paid to help them get to where they're going is to explain to them why what I teach will help them get there. A problem for every one of us in this room, I'd say. So how do we start? To begin with, I like to talk about the impact that good archaeology has had on the world. Good archaeology has helped to prove, not that it should need proving, to be clear, that this land is home to the longest living continuous civilization in the world. It's home to a group of people who lived here for at least 20,000 years before anyone else got to Central Europe, any humans, that is. Bad archaeology, in contrast, has started world wars. I also believe very strongly that something we can and all should show to our students is our passion. The best tutor I ever had inspired me to quit psychology and study archaeology, and he was in fact a psychologist, so well done, James. To be paid to walk into a room and to spend an hour sharing my passion, for you to share your passion, and in doing so, to help people find theirs is really just the most incredible privilege, and I think it's the best thing about teaching. I haven't actually ended up being the archaeologist that everyone else wanted to be when they were a kid, but honestly, I think I have found something even better in being able to help others.
Thanks so much, Alex. You get a sense why she's such an asset to this faculty. Our next presenter is John Callow. Thanks, John.
Hi, everyone. I'm John Callow and I teach in the Sydney School of Education and Social Work, and I'm a primary teacher originally, and now I'm helping our undergraduates and graduates to become great school teachers. And when I was asked to, here's the quote from Tanya's email: "Engage with and respond to evidence of effective student learning to successfully achieve excellence in teaching in 2 minutes." I understood the intent of the time limit. No one needs a long lecture when wine and canapes are at hand. But also the irony of the request, as one of my key answers, is that time is central to effective learning and teaching. Time to plan and think about what I teach and how I best teach it. Time to revisit or become better informed about the content of the unit that I'm teaching, changes in the field, research, accreditation issues, particularly in education, and also the practical applications for education units, where my students will be on placement and they'll be teaching kids of all ages and backgrounds, and they need to know what they're doing. Time to consider who my university students are. First years who are talented and keen, but sometimes nervous and unsure. They need really strong scaffolding and support to make that transition, often from school to academic life. Or my fourth years or master's students who are beginning to know what they don't know. That's a really important skill, isn't it? Knowing what you don't know and working from that higher vantage point. Time to reflect on my own teaching, how I went last year, student feedback, my own evaluations, and of course the peers that I taught with, what they bring that experience and evaluation. Time to revisit that lecture that was spot on in 2015 but needs a big reboot for 2020, or the tutorial activity that would probably benefit from more discussion and talk. Time to let students talk so that they will see how others read and think and process, and to actually realise that it's probably better to do the reading before the tutorial and perhaps discuss your thinking and learn things with your peers. And finally, time to congratulate students and point out what they have learned over the course of 12 weeks, in person, in lectures or tutorials, as well as in comments on their assignments, which we hope they will read, but we don't always know that they will. And now my time is up. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you so much, John. Our next presenter is Crystal Rome.
Good evening, everyone. Preparing for this award has been a very interesting process. I felt really inspired and honored to receive such a special recognition. And I would like to thank first the jury members for selecting me and honoring me with this recognition. And also, I would like to add that I wouldn't be standing here tonight if it was not for all the fabulous people I've met throughout my life and who have supported me throughout my life. So I would like to thank as well the University of Sydney for recognizing excellence in teaching, and also the Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences for organizing such a beautiful event for celebrating excellence in teaching. And along with the School of Arts and Social Sciences for supporting me in advancing in my career. I wish to thank my dear colleagues in the Department of the French and Francophone Studies for inspiring me, for giving me their ongoing support and opportunities to create successful units of study. I wish to thank my family, my beautiful family and friends, for being so supportive and encouraging. And finally, I wish to thank all the students I've encountered and who have fostered my passion for teaching. Indeed, I love teaching. I really love being this facilitator in the learning process, in creating and gathering together all the components that sometimes the good fortune is sending us, I must say, through amazing coincidences, and I'm so grateful for that as well, to generate what I call a kind of magic. In unforgettable moments, we can recapture at will. And here I'm inspired by a famous French poet, Charles Baudelaire, who talks about the eternal childhood recaptured at will in a creative process. This kind of magic enhances our intrinsic motivation and unlock our potentials. And I include myself here with the students because I do believe that students and teachers equally need to be motivated. So these components, some of these components for me are, for instance, using a fun and innovative approach called the global simulation to bring the real world and the French culture in the classroom. And that's quite interesting because students enjoy learning while creating, I say creating, and living, for instance, in a French village in the south of France, or in an apartment block in Paris, in a neighborhood of their choice, the district of their choice, or the street of their choice. So the fun that we all having in the class, creates like an atmosphere that's motivating, nurturing, and safe, and where students feel they belong. They don't belong only to a community of peers and learners, but also French citizens or immigrants at times. That's quite innovative and it's quite interesting for students, and they often quote and mention the experience in evaluation surveys. And this atmosphere allows me to include challenging concepts with more ease, while infusing my teaching with values and qualities students will keep for life outside university. Because for me, students are the most important people in the world. They're the future of our world, the future experts, the future colleagues, future leaders of the world. So thank you very much again.
Thank you, Crystal. Our fourth speaker is Dr. Alex Howard.
Hi everyone. Can't really follow anything with Baudelaire in it, but I'll try. I'll also say apologies for my attire. I did this on the way to a lecture, falling down a flight of stairs. I then gave the lecture. Adrenaline is an amazing thing. I don't recommend it. Apparently the lecture was okay. They told me that. So good afternoon everyone. I want to start by saying how much of an honour it is to receive this award, how much of a pleasure it is to be here with all of you, and how much of a privilege it is to hear the thoughts of so many wonderful teachers. How best to engage with and respond to evidence of effective student learning in order to successfully achieve excellence in teaching? The more time I spend thinking about that intriguing question from Tanya, the more complex things become. So in an attempt to keep things simple and also succinct, I'll limit myself to two observations. The first pertains to critical thinking, or rather the promotion of critical thought. Now, over the years, I've come to appreciate just how crucial critical thinking is in promoting effective learning in student cohorts, especially when it comes to producing self-motivated scholars, as well as, and more importantly perhaps, socially engaged and informed 21st century citizens and activists. And that is why I look to promote such forms of critical thinking, as we all do, of course, when teaching. And this, in turn, brings me to my second point. One of the best ways to promote critical thinking in whatever learning environments we might find ourselves is through collaboration, through the promotion and fostering of necessarily open-ended forms of dialogue and discussion. And these are precisely the sorts of things I look to encourage when teaching, and in an attempt to wrap things up in under 2 minutes, this leads me to one of the reasons as to why it's such a delight to be here today. And that is to say, teaching, like critical thinking, is best thought of as an inherently collaborative process and practice, as an ongoing process of collaborative inquiry and discovery, centered around the exchange of ideas among colleagues, peers, and friends. And that, surely and finally, is something worth affirming and indeed celebrating. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alex. Our last speaker is Charlotte Epstein. Thank you, Charlotte.
So good evening, everyone. It is a great honor indeed to be receiving this award, and as the final speaker, I thought I would make 3 points. The first one has to do with the extent to which, for me, in my lived experience as a now advanced, experienced teacher, research and teaching go together, right? Especially as someone who teaches the more theoretical dimensions of my discipline, I am utterly convinced that I have become a better researcher for being someone who has to really explain in simple terms some of the more complicated aspects of our discipline, right? We tend to forget that. For me, it's vital, and it's built into who I wanted to become as a scholar. That's the first thing. And then I wanted to share with you 2 experiences of how I've innovated by being a bit old-fashioned or even anti-tech. One of them to a room full of teachers, fellow teachers, or people who appreciate teaching. I wanted to share the experience, or a practice, which is the good old practice of a diary, okay? A teaching diary, right? And I have found that over the years, this is the one thing that does help me improve, right? How do you innovate? Well, by reflecting a little bit on how you do things. And the good old-fashioned diary is something I look at every year before starting again. So in case that's of help to anyone else, I thought I would share that. And then the other one, a sort of anti-tech innovation experiment, which I care very much about, which also made me realize how students are not where you think they are, and not where society has you think they are, was the decision after sitting in with a bit of peer mentoring with fellow colleagues, where we do this exercise in the department, which I should specify as government and international relations, where we sometimes ask each other to sit in each other's lectures to give each other feedback. And after realizing that every single student had a laptop open with Facebook and YouTube and all sorts of other things, in addition to lecture note-taking, I found myself in the position of wanting to experiment with my own students. And I happen to be a scholar of surveillance, right? So weapons of mass distraction, as I call them, are also part of my research. So one year I decided to to invite my students to do an experiment by telling them that, and it is the case, that the new tendency in teaching is to go back to no-tech, okay? That the new evidence shows that note-taking is the best way to learn, note-taking, hand note-taking, the old-fashioned way, a good old pen and pencil. So what I did is I gathered the evidence, put it up for them to see. I also told them about my research and the weapons of mass distraction, and I presented it as an experiment, okay? I said, let's try. If you have a problem with that, come and talk to me. If you don't think it's helpful, come and talk to me, but let's try. And that was where I was really surprised, because, and this has been, as you might imagine, I've reiterated the experience, partly because the response I get is, that's excellent. And it's systematically commented on in my comments, okay? Here was I thinking that this new generation, what do I know about what they like to watch YouTube and Facebook? Actually, it was a relief for them to find out that perhaps it was a bit of a break from Facebook, YouTube, and all that, right? And so it's an experiment I've carried forth, as an experiment, but it seems to be working, and every time I'm surprised by the students' reaction. So that's one way in which I've found to be innovative. I thought I'd share that with you. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Charlotte. I also want to thank all of those presenters, because you get a sense of, among many things that people are doing, and among all the innovations, whether in classrooms or online, but a sense of the passion that connects every one of those presenters to not only their discipline, but I think also very much to their students. And that's really infectious and really wonderful to see. A couple of quick thanks before we finish up. Can we give one last huge thanks to everyone who received an award and gave that presentation? And last of all the thanks is a person who does a lot of work behind the scenes to support so much that happens in teaching and learning. And I've had an enormous privilege to work with Tanya de Olivares for a really long time. Tanya. So Tanya brings all of this together, makes it as polished and I think as celebratory as it is. But Tanya's really been a huge supporter of teaching and learning for as far back as I can remember being a kind of junior teacher. So can we please thank Tanya for what she's done within the faculty? I also want to personally thank all of you for coming, because I think that really supports what we're trying to do. I especially want to thank so many of my colleagues that I recognize for coming and taking this time out of their schedule, which is a fantastic support of their colleagues, but also of the faculty. We've got canapes and drinks, so please go and grab a drink, and I think the jazz band is about to start again. Thank you everyone for coming.